Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of Keiser Voices. We're excited this December to talk about online learning and what does that mean. To kick us off, we are talking today about the personalization and global connectivity of online learning. And we're excited to have with us, and long overdue on this podcast, the Vice-Chancellor of the Online Division, Dr. Sherry Olsen. Dr. Olsen, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I have such a passion for online education, and I'm so excited that you guys thought of me to talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of online education and maybe what I see for the future.
We're excited for this conversation, and when online education came up, you're definitely the first on our mind. But the first question I want to ask you, and answer it however you feel comfortable answering it, how long have you been working in online higher education?
Well, it's going on 22 years. And so you can imagine when I first started in online education, it really wasn't well known. A lot of people thought, oh, how can it be as rigorous as a face-to-face when sometimes it can be more rigorous? And so, yes, I've been in online education for quite a number of years.
What would you say would be the unique advantages of online learning in terms of personalization and that global connectivity for today's students?
Well, that's kind of a two-pronged question. First of all, I think what online education does for so many students, we have students from all over the world, which is so exciting. In the classes, we have students that are from the United States, and also from other countries. And so when they're in online classes together, they get to understand each other's culture, which is something I really love. We have 8 centers now in various parts of the world, and some of these students are starting to take online classes with us. And that's one of the beauties of online education. In terms of what online education can do for students, we have students who live in rural parts of the United States that live nowhere near a university. They can't get there. Maybe they're a single mom or a single parent, and they really can't leave their jobs to go to school. So online education opens that up for so many students who who can't benefit from more of a face-to-face. And what I'm seeing is students, when they come to a university, they say, and I've heard this many times, look, I want some hybrid classes, I want some online, I want some face-to-face. And Keiser University is very good about that, where students can come to Keiser University, they can enroll in fully online classes, fully online programs, or they can go to one of our 21 campuses, take classes face-to-face, and then take some of their classes online, depending on their program. And so in a way, online education allows for that flexibility. Also, I think in terms of engagement, I think students sometimes are more engaged in an online class. One of the things we do, we keep our class sizes very small, about 1 to 18, because we expect our faculty to not only teach the class, they have to tutor the students. A lot of my faculty are advisors to students, so they're always reaching out to students, and it's that one-on-one attention a student gets in an online class they normally wouldn't get in a face-to-face class of 100 to 200 students, where students can't hide in an online class. You know, you'll have students that maybe sit in the front of the class and some that sit in the back, and they never share anything. Well, in an online class, you have to participate in threaded discussions. You have discussions with your peers. There's live lectures. And so I think in an online class, there's more engagement sometimes than maybe in a face-to-face.
And I'm glad you brought up the faculty, because I think that's an important point to mention as well. Your faculty reflect the population of your students.
Yes.
I know about that, but can you tell our audience a little bit about what that means?
In terms of, well, our faculty, first of all, they're very well trained. Like every one of the faculty, and this doesn't happen at many universities, they have to go through a month-long training. After that training, they get a mentor, then they're allowed to teach a class. And the reason why we do that is because we want the faculty to understand not only our culture, but our demographic of students. Most of our students are adult learners. just like our faculty are adults. And so we teach the faculty also something called appreciative advising, and how to advise a student, how to disarm and get to know that student, and not just say, oh, are you doing well or not? It's really getting to know that student. And that's what our faculty do. I have to say, we're pretty tough on our online faculty. When we hire a faculty member, we tell them, look, you're busiest at nights and on weekends. For a traditional university, they might teach 3 days a week, kind of maybe log off on a Friday afternoon, and then they really aren't in touch with their students. Where our students, they need us 7 days a week when it's convenient for them. That goes to our part of our mission, which is students first. Very simple, students first, but we live, eat, and breathe that, especially my faculty. And so I always, when I was the dean, that I know my dean loves it when I say that, but I was very clear with faculty. They'd say, well, when is my breaks? When do I get days off? And I'm like, well, in an online environment, you really don't. I mean, we don't make faculty work 7 days a week, but they have to get back to a student in 24 hours, no matter what day or night it is. So in terms of our faculty kind of matching our student demographic, we have a lot of, we're more female online, which is kind of neat. I've seen a lot of females come to our programs and get leadership roles, which is so exciting to see. And the demographic, I think, when you have an adult learner interacting with an adult faculty member, the relationship is stronger.
No, those are good points, because that is really that meeting that individual need of the students and helping those students work to their goals. Can you share any examples about how online learning is customized specifically to that student's academic journey? I know we've kind of touched on it a little bit with the smaller class size, the advisor, but can you tell us about that a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. So I always say that, yes, when the student's in the online class, right, they're engaging with content. We do partner with a lot of publishers in terms of, the content meeting the needs of that individual student based on how they're doing and engaging with that content. It'll reference other content to help with that individual student. Likewise, the faculty will do that. But it's not just about what the student's doing in the online class. They need help outside of the online class. So, for example, we have a math help center. A lot of students who have been out of school for a while, they need help with algebra, statistics. We have that manned by my math faculty, so they can go to that help center and get help whenever they need it, where there's live lectures that go on. They can work through problems. We also have our online writing lab, where students can go submit papers. That's fully staffed, where students can get help there. We have programmatic help centers where students can go and interact with their peers based on their program. We also have something called tutor.com, which is a 24/7 tutoring process that students can get tutoring on, I don't know, over 100 subjects. Also, we have our student services organization, where students can go, and sometimes they'll go there to ask how they can get help because they love that center. And sometimes the student service center will suggest a student to go to one of the other centers. And so it's so engaging, where when students log into a class, they know they have advisors, they have help centers, and all this happens outside of the classroom. So it's not just a matter of how you service students inside the classroom. It's what are you doing outside the classroom to get them ready for graduation so they can graduate on time. And that's why I hope I can mention it here. We use predictive analytics in terms of retaining our students. So early on, we know after a week one of a course, we know the students that are at risk who are struggling. We have these dashboards for our advisors and our deans and academic administrators alike, so they can run reports, look to see, okay, what students are struggling, because a lot of times I'm finding adult learners who have mortgages, who have jobs, they're not likely to reach out to someone. But if we know the students that need help, we can reach out to them and get them the help they need early on. And our students absolutely love that. And it helps retain our students where they don't have to retake a class because they're getting the help they need or an extension based on their personal needs.
You said two important points, and I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go to first. I want to come back to the predictive analytics that
Yes.
you spoke about that you're using, but I want to go back to touch on, you were talking about the students being able to connect with their faculty. You're talking about students being able to connect to each other, and you even mentioned the global population. Why is that an important benefit for students and enhancing their learning, being able to network with their peers globally?
Because I think there's so many different cultures out there, and every culture is so different, especially if a student wants to get a job that maybe it has a global reach. Well, that I just think that helps break down barriers. And because our demographic, our student demographic is so diverse, we have students from so many different religions, ethnicity, and I think that leads to students when they are interacting with students from a global perspective. And I see it a lot too in our Latin division because we do have a completely online Latin division that students can get associates through doctoral degrees completely in Spanish. So I also see it there because a lot of those students are from different countries around Latin America. So I think for Keiser, and that's always been our chancellor's vision, is how can we grow globally and how can we do it successfully? And I really feel that we have because students are having a good experience. The global piece, a lot of students these days, they can't afford to leave their countries to come to the United States to get a degree from an American university. But if they can stay in their countries, get an online education, then I think that just lends itself to us all, breaking down the walls of students can do this from all over the world. And we do. We've had students from all over, which is what I love to see.
And then I want to go back to another point that kind of ties into it, and that success comes from knowing and understanding your students. And one of the resources that you're using is the predictive index, which is AI technology. Am I correct in that, drawing that conclusion?
Not yet, but the company we use, they are like every other company, right? They're looking at ways to use AI. Like for example, I have a lot of databases where I'm looking at learning outcomes. How are students doing in their programs? Are they understanding the concepts for that class or that program? The predictive analytics piece, our student information system, our CRM. So we're working right now on developing a data lake. So it's easier for us using AI to scrape that information because the quicker we get information on that individual student, the better we can help that student. And I think that's what makes Keiser's online different than a lot of schools because it's not just about, okay, let's just enroll students, but what are those support services? And in terms of how they're doing programmatically, that's a key factor in students being successful when they do get into the workforce and get that job based on their dream and the program that they're in. So AI is still being talked about and things are coming. And I think for us, and I know, Heather, we were going to talk about AI. It's to me, it's a transformative piece of higher education. Some people are afraid of it, some aren't, some are embracing it. But in terms of students and how they're going to learn for the future, AI is a huge part of that. And we just have to get faculty and administrators on board, develop policies and procedures. And one of the things I want to work on is like a AI academy for Keiser. So we can look at it from different aspects, whether it's admissions, online education, even financial aid. And it all centers down to can we service our students better? So what they're learning adapts to their needs. And it's not about the content per se. It's about how are we reaching that individual student? Because every student learns differently.
So as we look to the future of online education, I mean, AI is going to play an important piece as a learning resource then.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. And that together will just help make that experience much greater. Are you seeing a change in the needs of the students, now that AI is coming more to the front, more to the conversation? Are you seeing changes?
Not yet, not for our university, but but I do go to conferences that focus on AI and online learning, and I have a lot of great ideas for the future. It's just the key is you have to start somewhere. And I
Mhm.
honestly think it's about the content. One of the things we're doing online is through our partner Anthology. We were one of 4 universities from around the world that were chosen to pilot with a company called Abreezum. They're out of London. And what it is, it's adaptive AI, adaptive learning AI software. And we're going to pilot it with 2 classes so that we can see how students engaging with this, do they do better? And is it meeting their individual needs? And then we're also looking at some of the virtual reality and augmented reality, and how can students in an online classroom engage with these features, because it's really not about the textbook anymore. It really
Mhm.
isn't. It's about that content, and making sure that the programs, we are preparing students for the future.
No, that's amazing. And it sounds like online at Keiser University is definitely aligning itself for a bright future. Dr. Olsen, we really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us about online learning and what students can expect here at Keiser, both from a personalization standpoint as well as global connectivity. So thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely, it was wonderful. And anytime you want me to talk about online, just let me know.
We definitely will be taking you up on that offer. If you guys have enjoyed this conversation today and want to hear more, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Keiser Voices. And join us as we continue talking this month about online education. We will catch you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the story of success. As we close this chapter, remember every story has its next page.